Welcome back, guys. Today, I want to talk about the truth about magnetism in business and why it has less to do with your strategy and everything to do with your nervous system. When you think about being magnetic, I feel like it's something that is shared a lot, and yet it feels and can feel to many people really untangible and this mysterious thing where you're like, okay, but how do I actually increase or create magnetism? And so if you have been feeling like you've been forcing a lot and really pushing without any sense of ease or flow or even real deep connection to what it is that you're creating and what it is that you're putting out into the world, this is for you. So in this episode, we're going to go into why so many women are unconsciously repelling the very thing that they desire and they want, how dysregulation impacts visibility, receiving, and client attraction, the shift out from performing to embodiment and magnetizing what it is that you want, and then tangible rituals to actually build energetic capacity, presence, and inner strength, because that's huge. And that journey of transitioning from a woman who no longer hustles is a huge one, because it has been something that is really deeply ingrained in society around things having to be hard. This kind of belief that business has to be hard, that we have to fight, that we have to struggle. Now, I'm not saying it's all easy and everything gets to be flow and easeful all the time. No, there is going to be a certain element of input that you're going to need to put in, right? However, it's not at the cost of disconnecting from your inner wisdom, from your truth, and from your sensation, your body, ultimately. So let's go into that first topic. Why so many women are unconsciously repelling the very thing they want. This is huge because you may have heard this, or you may have experienced this yourself, where you feel like you're doing all the things, you're showing up in all the ways, you're following the strategy that you've been given to a T, and yet there is no traction in your business. And you feel like, well, there must be something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with this strategy. When we get into that place where we feel like we're taking all the action and nothing is really happening, there's two different sides to this, right? The one part is sometimes what we think is what is required to create what we want is actually not. And it's actually a fraction of what it is that we actually need to input to create what we want. And sometimes that first part is the hardest part, because we're really pushing and needing to create the momentum. And I always imagine this as like, imagine that you're trying to push this boulder up this mountain, right? And that first lift from the ground up overhead is the hardest. And then you're pushing and pushing uphill, and it can feel like a lot. But then when you get to the top, when that boulder gets to the top, it then free falls down, right? And that's momentum. So it does sometimes require a little bit more than what we anticipate it requiring to actually get the results we want. But on the other side, if you know that you are really like, there's nothing else you could be doing, there's no question in your mind, and yet you're still not getting the results, that is when you really do want to go into that nervous system and really understand what is going on at a deeper level here, because there is something that is being activated that may be triggering that nervous system to go into survival. And I always see a business as a relationship. So when you are activated in your survival, you can then experience feeling a sense of urgency. And when that urgency isn't being met, then you can start to question yourself. Self-doubt can creep in. And all of these things can come to the surface for you to really bear witness to around old stories, patterns, and beliefs that are creating indirectly the sense of needing. Like, I need this next client. I need my business to get to this point. I need this amount of money in my bank account. Whenever there's that kind of need, it is repellent. It's like, imagine you're in a relationship with someone and they are incredibly needy and clingy to you the whole time. It's like, oh, okay, just need some space. Like, leave me alone for a little bit. When you get onto a client call and you are in that needing energy, that needy energy, they're going to feel that. It doesn't matter what it is that you say or how perfect of a strategy you follow. If you show up and your energy is off and they feel it, it's not going to attract the clients that you really want to come and work with you. And so understanding how to actually be with sensation in your body without ignoring it, without shutting it down or pretending like, no, I'm fine. I'm not in survival. Like, my nervous system's absolutely fine. I don't feel activated. I'm totally all good. No, let's not do that. Let's not further numb ourselves or shut ourselves off from what is true, what is present in our reality at that point in time. And I say true loosely because, you know, the stories that we may hold, we know they're actually not true intellectually, but the body is a different thing. And the body has that activation from whatever is coming up for you that is responding in the fight, flight, fawn, or freeze response, in that survival mode. So that's why really understanding how to actually regulate your nervous system is so important, because when you want to create momentum in your business, there's a whole other layer of capacity that you're going to need to be able to hold without collapsing under the weight of it. And that requires this kind of grounded, deep presence energy where you're not attached to the outcome, but you're still taking that aligned action. And that's really important, because I'm not talking about just being in the energy of and not taking action, right? So your energy is felt. So if you are in survival, other people are going to feel that, and it is going to repel them or repel whatever it is that you're desiring to come into your life with ease. And I'm sure you've all experienced this, where you've gone into a room and maybe there was like an argument a moment before, or there's some kind of tension. Maybe there's like a family dynamic or something. No one has to say a word, right? You walk into that room and you feel that something is off. No one's communicated anything to you. In fact, they've probably come up to you and been like, everything's fine. And you're like, no, it's not. And your body is tense and you feel it. Yes. So everyone has that ability. If your energy is off and you're trying to create something or call in new clients and you are in survival mode and you are activated, it is not going to create the outcome that you desire. So that is point one. The second point I want to touch on is how dysregulation impacts visibility, receiving, and client attraction. I've kind of touched on the client attraction piece. But when it comes to visibility and really showing up, there can be a lot of resistance to that, because when you're activated in that survival mode, there can be these feelings around being an imposter, around not wanting to say the wrong thing or to upset anyone, around really not feeling grounded with who you are. And when you're not grounded in who you really are, what you value, what you're here to create, what your why is, then you can feel like you're not being fully authentic when you're visible. And when you feel really safe within your nervous system, you can expand your capacity to actually really be way more visible and be able to hold that sensation. Maybe it's like this fear around public speaking, and you know you want the impact that public speaking would give you, but inside your body, there's like so much terror and so much fear. And again, it's not about ignoring that, but it's also about still leaning into it. Because if what you desire to create means that visibility gets to be a part of that, then that is something that you get to really work with your nervous system so that your nervous system can actually support you in creating that reality that you want. And this happens a lot where I first start working with a woman and she knows what she needs to do. Like, that's not the issue. The issue is that she's actually not doing it. And she understands intellectually, yes, this makes sense to do this, this, and this, and to show up in this way and to be visible in this way. And yet she doesn't, because there's a lot of resistance. And when your nervous system is in that fight, flight, or freeze or fawn response, it doesn't matter what the intellectual mind is saying. The body is in disconnect, and it's going to keep you in that comfort or in that loop by either distracting you or making you feel like there could be other things that you could do with your time. Maybe you end up doing the 1,001 things on your list that actually don't matter and actually don't move the needle. And maybe you've experienced this. You're like, oh my God, I'm so busy all the time, and yet nothing seems to be working. And then you look at what you're actually putting your energy to, and you're like, oh, no wonder. This is all like admin tasks. It doesn't actually create momentum in a business. So it can do little underlying things like that where you think it's totally normal, but it's actually working in a way where it's distracting you from actually leaning into the discomfort and doing the thing. That was a tangent, but I wanted to share that with you. When it comes to visibility, because I know visibility for a lot of people can feel really intimidating. And yet, on the other side, it's like this competing desire again, because it's actually what they really want. And they know that it is required for the level of impact that they want to create in their life and in other people's lives. How dysregulation impacts receiving? Well, it's huge, because when you're feeling dysregulated, it can feel really uncomfortable to receive. And I hear this with so many women, again, who they're undercharging for their services, or maybe they're not charging at all. And when you're not rooted and you're not grounded, and you allow the external situations to start to seep in and make you question yourself, that is when you are on this kind of rocky territory, right? You're ultimately have this kind of house built on sand versus built on really solid brick foundation. I don't know what foundation's made of, probably not brick, but you get me. And so when you're not getting the results that you want, and you start to question your ability, then you start to undercharge for your services. And it doesn't even have to be in business. It can be in anything where you start to feel really uncomfortable to receive. Like, oh, no, that's too much. Or I don't feel comfortable to raise my prices, or whatever it may be. It's this knock-on effect from being swayed, or you're not even swayed, your nervous system feeling activated by the external environment that is sending signals to you that make you start to doubt yourself, make you start to question yourself, your value, and your abilities. And actually, ultimately, sometimes it's not even your ability. A lot of the time, you actually know your ability, but it's still uncomfortable to receive more, to ask for more money, for example, for your services. And that is how dysregulation really impacts that ability to receive ultimately. And that is really important to work with, because it's not only about receiving money or, gifts from other people, but it's also about receiving support and feeling safe to actually ask for support, which is huge. So that shift is ultimately the journey that I take clients through, is ultimately from performance through embodiment and then into feeling really magnetic within themselves. The way to do this, so I want to leave you with some tangible practices, okay, that actually build magnetism. Really, it's about expanding your capacity to be really present and really grounded, and to have a process where you can also give yourself the space to process the emotion, not intellectually. No, we don't need to think about it. We don't need to know why. We don't need to know where it originated from. No, we need the body to feel it, and we need the body to process it. That's when the big shifts come. So that can be through initiating that through breath work so that you can get out of your head and into your body. That can be through some other somatic practices, like going and creating a ritual where you can actually play some music and just allow your body to move however the emotion wants to come through. It can be vocalizing it, screaming into a pillow, stomping your feet, whatever it may be. But that space is where you are in isolation and you're processing that emotion yourself. That's really important. You don't have anyone else around you in your space. You're not unleashing it out on anyone else. No, you're in a container that you've created for yourself, and you're giving that to yourself. You can also really focus on coming back into breath when you feel that there is a sense of tension in the body. This can come up at any point of day. The beautiful thing about the breath is it doesn't take more than 5 minutes of really deep activation breathing to really start to build that capacity to shift that energy and shift that tension in your body, which is incredible. I also am, one of the key pillars is actually the physical body. So fueling and training to actually help you build capacity in your body. Fueling, meaning what are you putting into your body? Are you actually making sure that you are fueling your body to sustain your energy throughout the day? Because I can guarantee you, if you're not, and you start to feel off and then you start to go into a spiral, that could be activated through just really under eating and not knowing what your body actually needs, or being so disconnected from your body, you don't even have any hunger cues. So you go to like 4 p.m. and then you're like, oh my God, I haven't eaten all day, right? Start to be really intentional with what you're putting inside your body. And then strength training, because strength training is so powerful for really cultivating and helping you to build that capacity to be with tension, but also increase your energy so wildly and increase your brain function. Like today was the most insane day for me, hence I'm recording late at night. And I took the time to go to the gym. I knew I needed to go into the gym because I was starting to get really antsy. The moment after I finished that weight training session, I felt so refreshed. I felt like I had all of my energy back. I felt really grounded. I felt really calm. And I felt ready for then that next round 2 of a long day. And I wouldn't have been able to get there with that calm, grounded inner presence if I hadn't have taken that time to make sure that I got that strength training in. So I'm going to leave it there and sending you so much love. Let me know your questions. I want this to be really supportive and helpful for you. Let me know where you're at in your journey as well. And I look forward to speaking with you soon, and I'll be back on tomorrow. Have the most wonderful evening. Speak soon.